is therefore uniting the global accounting community. ICMA has set the stage and hopes that our valued participants and delegates will play their part in making this event successful. I would like to begin by expressing my deep gratitude to the honorable guest from Auditor General Pakistan, National University of Modern Languages, University, Pakistan Institute of Development, Economics, PIDE, and the corporate partners for taking time out of their busy schedule to attend our convention. Your presence today demonstrates the importance that the government and the corporate sector places on the vital contribution that qualified accountant makes to the nation's development. Unfortunately, Senator Ishaq Dar could not join us today due to IMF delegation and other commitments, and we acknowledge his diligent efforts in negotiating a deal with the IMF. ICMA is very much optimistic about this and has full confidence that he leads the nation towards economic revival and growth. We are glad to have among our midst today Ms. Asma Ismogi, President of the IFAC, and we are eager to benefit from their thoughts and vision as the role of IFAC in facilitating professional accountants around the globe on how to tackle emerging challenges facing the profession such as ESG, climate change, and economic recession in the post-pandemic era. IFAC, which represents 3 million professionals, accountants worldwide, serve as the voice of the global accounting profession. Let me acknowledge that IFAC is doing a commendable job of promoting the development, adoption, and implementation of high-quality international standards. Simultaneously, IFAC is advocating for the profession concerns in every forum and voicing the profession perspective on issues spanning from audit quality and anti-corruption efforts to corporate governance and climate change. ICMA is proud to be a pioneer member of IFAC and is supplementing IFAC in these roles. I especially thank global accounting professionals from around the world and making the commitment to attend this convention, which is in fact represent a common platform for networking opportunity for them, especially management accountants, to deliberate their challenges faced by business all over the globe in terms of cost optimization, price competitiveness, and shaping the strategy of the companies. I trust by learned speakers later tomorrow, as well as the panel discussion that will follow, will provide with a wonderful learning opportunity, inshallah. Ladies and gentlemen, over the past 2 decades, these have been significant changes to the global business environment. Market dynamics are evolving rapidly, marked by ever-increasing business complexity and economic uncertainty are both rising on an international level. Enterprises are being forced to adapt their business models to the realities of the market in order to remain competitive as the result of technological advancement and innovation such as artificial intelligence and big data analytics, to name just 2 of them. Expectations from the management accountant is also considerably increased in this rapid changing environment. They are now destined to serve as strategic business partners in assisting organizations in using data and resource efficiently to gain a competitive edge by adjusting a new technological tools and techniques. They play a crucial part in creating and adding a value to economy as well as in making strategic decisions. They are starting to play a part of ESG and climate change efforts as well. I would advise management accountants to develop and continue to acquire new skills in this area of regulatory and technological compliance in order to adjust the emerging realities. They must detect survey at the same time to stay competitive in the market that is changing rapidly. Dear participants, the economists recognize that management accountant has a much greater role in the process of economic development of the developing country. This is partly due to the fact that developing countries generally have limited and scarce economic resources where cost of management accounting that have a major role play to utilizing these efficiently and effectively. I think there is a dire need for increased interaction between trade bodies, Chamber of Commerce, and professional accounting bodies so that successful nexus of business acumen and professional expertise could be utilized potentially for the economic benefit of the country. I hope that speakers and panelists of international convention would also shed a light and explore accountants' role toward economic development. With these words, I would like to express my gratitude to the Honorable Chief Guest and Guest of Honor, speakers, panelists, as well as distinguished guests and colleagues who join us this afternoon. I have no doubt to my mind that the International Convention will be an excellent place to learn from our participants and that will provide simultaneously the discussion on host of challenges and issues our profession is currently experiencing of their workable solution. I also highly appreciate the tireless efforts of Secretariat of ICMA organizing this conference in such professional manner, my team, my council, my EC members, and my branches who support for this. At the end, I like to state that the success of sustainability, we will need to reshape our ways of thinking and connecting in light of the contemporary advancement and technologies. The accounting industry is primarily responsible for establishing the trends that will affect our world in the upcoming years. As one said, knowing is not enough, we must apply. Willing is not enough, we must do. We need to think beyond just what we have learned so far and our best interest in mind. Additionally, we need to make decisions and perform our decisions, difficulties, and responses to them will mold who we are, the individuals, and the profession we pursue. Individually, we may be ordinary people, but together we can accomplish extraordinary things. With these words, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shazad Ahmed Malik Saab. And the way he said, we might be individually ordinary people, but together we can accomplish extraordinary things. And I really hope that your takeaway from his speech was far greater than just this quote that I just quoted from his speech. And it's really important how he has in his presidency created such incentives for not only current members but also for the students here to give them this opportunity to have stable futures, because right now the world is in this dire and desperate need of sustainability, because we are constantly exploiting our resources, and we can see the devastating effects of climate change, and not only that, but the economic failure that the world is experiencing right now. Moving forward, I would now like to, introduce you all to our guest of honor, and our guest of honor is Mr. Ashfaq Yusuf Tola. You are the Minister of State and Chairman, Reforms and Resources Mobilization Commission. And I would just give you a very brief introduction. Obviously, his introduction in real is going to be really long, but because we already took a lot of time off of your schedules to start this convention, we would like to keep it short. And obviously, his speech will reflect on everything that he is. Ashfaq Yusuf Tola holds the rank and status of Minister of State of the Government of Pakistan as Chairman of the Reforms and Resources Mobilization Commission set up by the federal government. He is a member of the steering committee set up under the patronage of the Minister of Finance and Revenue of Pakistan for providing strategic guidance regarding implementing the federal Sharia court's judgment on riba. He is an accomplished professional who has experience of over 30 years in diverse areas, including tax planning and advisory, assurance and business advisory services, international mergers and acquisitions, corporate finance and investment advisory, financial product designing and launching, along with corporate affairs. Along with this, he is keenly interested in matters about the economy of Pakistan, portrayed by his contributions toward policy making. I would like to call him on the stage and have a few of his golden words.
نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Madam Asma Rasmoki, President IFAC, Mr. Nihar Jammu Sharia, President Safa, Mr. Hansena Kurupo, Vice President Safa, Mr. Watawala, Secretary, distinguished guest from India, C.S. Nanda Sahab, from Sri Lanka, President ICMAP, Shazad Malik, President ICAP, Ali Latif, and my fellow colleagues, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It is indeed a misnomenclature when I was called upon as guest of honor. I'm not a guest of honor, I'm a host. So, Madam has just forgot to inform you that I am a fellow member of ICMAP as well. And prior to qualifying my chartered accountancy exam, a month before, or maybe 26 days before, I qualified my ICMAP. And in fact, at that time, we used to have a rule in CA that if you are a member of ICMAP, then you are exempted from appearing in final examination of CA cost accounting. And although I appeared in the exam, but I was given a chance by the then president of ICAP, Mr. Ibrahim Sidar, the legendary living legend, I would say. He said, bring your membership qualification certificate, membership letter before 10th of Feb, and I had accepted. Very well, being an ardent student of ICMA, you can't go wrong with cost accounting. So I went to ICMAP and I met the legendary Zahid. And he kept my membership done through resolution by circulation. And he made that in February 1991, he delivered me the letter. So this is a huge. Fortunately, I would say it was never required, and I was passed in cost accounting as well. It was a great journey, and I think I started my professional accountancy political career from ICMAP as the youngest member, branch member of ICMAP Karachi. I think one or two friends, Masood Saab is here. He can vouch for it and he can be. So ICMAP, my home. Host, I'm not a guest. Whenever I get a chance, to boost the image of accountancy profession in Pakistan. To me, although I am a past president or former, or I would say immediate past president of ICAP, ICMA is also an equal important segment. I think we cannot exclude ICMAP when it comes to profession of accounting in Pakistan. And once look at the title of Global Accounting Fraternity. So if we fail to unite our own fraternity within our country, with the same border, I don't think we deserve this title to preach. And again, I think the thing is there, and mashallah, I can see President relationship. Yesterday, when we sponsored Madam President and Mr. Kurupo, ICMA delegation was there, and I hope this cordiality of relationship will continue perpetually. Man may come and I can go, institution will remain. And we are the two bodies of Pakistan, those who have legislation. So we are legislative bodies and we have our roles to play. God is the one who gives you the business and risk, I would say rather. So we need not to create disputes. We have to create harmony. And same is true with my regional bodies. I really appreciate that my Indian delegates are here, and we try to make their arrival, their visa process as smooth as possible, and it was silky smooth. I hope they have arrived seamlessly. Their immigration was done in an immaculate manner. I hope, being the host, Pakistan fulfilled their expectations, and I hope this region continue to flourish, and it will. In my humble view, the entire world is going through a dire state. I mean, it is not like that one country is happy and another country is not feeling the pinch. We all are feeling. And that is because of some man-made event, which is, I would simply say, Ukraine war. And again, till February, we all, but when in February when the tension started, the entire world was in the grip of economic crisis. It's not alone in Pakistan or maybe Sri Lanka or maybe any other part of the region which is facing this dilemma. I can say, just take the example of UK, which is one of the developed country and obviously a powerful economy to reckon with. But when we look at there, I mean, I have a doctor friend there, and I asked him that why you are so busy these days. I mean, I'm talking to you of January. He said we are just attending 50 to 60 patients a day. I said, what? Primarily, I mean, you attend 10 to 15. It's really, I mean, when people are coming in, most of them are dying because of cold. What? Then he narrated that the reason is that the utility cost is very high. And after the withdrawal of subsidy by the government of UK, the average bill of utility is £3,000. And you can see every day there are demonstrations and strikes as far as UK labour force is concerned. In Germany is giving the same example. Again, you can look at US. It's a free fall now. We have seen 5 banks falling in just 1 week. Those banks were very strong, but just because of increase in the policy rate, this crisis erupted. There's a mismatch. And we were discussing this thing yesterday even, madam. So, yes, at present we are facing greater pinch of this. The team is involved. We are negotiating day in, day out. We are looking at it. This is for the first time that really we are facing the movie. I can tell you, completed program in 2016. And mark my word, very smooth. Look at the memorandum of financial and economic MEFP, जिसको हम कहते हैं. The program which we started in 2013 and we finished in 2016, I'm talking about Pakistan, our compliance was 98%. And we took 17 waivers during the negotiation. And let me just clear you can verify and you can quote me, that during that period of IMF program, we have never injected and we have not even injected a single cent in the market, which is a misnomer. And instead, we bought $1.8 billion from the market and enhanced the business. So it was a reverse reaction, and it was praiseworthy. Then what went? How it went? You can see that in 2016, PricewaterhouseCoopers published a report, and they, based on their assumptions and obviously their calculations and projections of the economy, they said Pakistan is going to be the member of G20 in 2030. We were lingering at 24, and it was understandable that jumping from to that club, bypassing the economies of Canada and Italy, it was remarkable. I mean, I think that was really praiseworthy of the economic management of Pakistan. The currency was stable. And I can tell you, in different era increases, drop. Political instability. That triggered the economic crisis, and then we have a domino effect. So then thereafter, it was really difficult for us to manage. Nonetheless, I think Dar Saab wanted to come, and till last moment, Shehzad can vouch for it. He tried. He is too much busy. Right now, he is in Lahore for some time. So, too much busy. We are still trying the online session or virtual session of 10 to 15 minutes. Hopefully, I'll get the time slot. Congratulations, Shehzad and the team for an excellent, super arrangement. And madam, if there is anything lacking, being member of both the institutes, please accept my sincere apology. And this is true for every foreign delegate. I think this is professional. We are professional economists. We know the numbers. We know the numbers. We can vouch for it. We can churn it. We can analyze it. But analysis to the extent of analysis, not paralysis. I can tell you, when we formed this reform commission, still I am apolitical, but when I got the opportunity, I came in and I very and I informed Shehzad to give me 16 nominations, out of which we will select 8 in different groups. And mashallah, I would say that the people from both the professional institutes are working excellently. We will submit our report, initial report, inshallah, before the end of April, and then hopefully we will introduce some good measures for taxpayers of Pakistan, and we will work on rotting the tax base as well. We have got good plans, and I hope I'll try to leave no stone unturned and to use my experience of this tax reform to the extent I can, to the best of my ability. With these words, congratulations again. Thank you, madam, for coming to Pakistan and honoring us. And as we have discussed today in the SAFA board meeting, you have to have 8 visits in this region, which is very important. Thank you very much, Pakistan Zindabad.
Thank you so much, everybody. That was our guest of honor, Mr. Ashfaq Yusuf Tola Sahab. And I have this habit of saying doctor. The reason being, I am an immunologist, and it is this branch of biology that deals with diseases and chemicals. And in immunology, we have a very famous saying. But now you are, a doctor of philosophy. So yeah, I think that was highly appropriate of me calling him a doctor because he's now a PhD scholar. But in my subject of focus, we have this saying that goes, micro efforts create macro impact. And that was my take from your speech, sir, and how beautifully he portrayed his intellect. And I am honestly in awe of your personality, and it was really a delight sitting back and listening to him. And I'm sure all of you who were sitting here enjoyed it just as much as I did at the back. And now it's time to have some remarks by our chief guest, and it's Ms. Asma Rasmuki. She is the president of IFAC, and Ms. Asma Rasmuki became IFAC president in November of 2022, and she has more than 25 years of experience in assurance services, including serving as audit partner in the large auditing firms in Morocco, where she led auditing in various industry and service sectors, including real estate, mining, pharmaceutical, consumer business, automobile, and tourism. She has extensive experience in other types of engagements, such as due diligence and valuation, and agreed upon procedures and internal control review. So I would like to call you on the stage for your speech. Thank you.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. President Shahzad Ahmed Malik, Mr. Ashfaq Tora, Minister of State, Mr. Jambo Saria, President of SAFA, dear delegates, it is an honor and privilege for me to join you today and to say a few words from a global perspective about the topics of the agenda. Thank you to Malik for inviting me to speak. This is my first time in your beautiful country, Pakistan. And as you all know, first times are always special in our hearts. And I'm sure it won't be the last time in your country. First of all, let me take this opportunity to describe briefly what IFAC does and why the partnership between IFAC and ICMA Pakistan is and will remain vitally important. IFAC is the global organization of the accountancy profession. We serve the public interest by enhancing the relevance, reputation, and value of the accountancy profession around the world. Through our 180 plus member organizations, we represent more than 3 million accountants in 135 jurisdictions. Our work falls under three strategic objectives. First, we represent and advocate for the profession as its global voice. Second, we help to equip the profession for the future through our members and the professionals that they represent. And three, we support the development, adoption, and implementation of high-quality international standards. So IFAC has many strengths, but what we aim to do at IFAC is only possible through the many organizations that make up the IFAC family, including member bodies like ICMA Pakistan. ICMA Pakistan has been with IFAC from the very beginning, as it was said earlier, and it has served the public interest of Pakistan since 1951. So I thank you on behalf of IFAC for your partnership, which is invaluable for our mutual efforts to advance the accountancy profession at the global level. I want to turn now to the urgent need for action on sustainability, which is the theme of the session that we're going to have later today, but it is also the backdrop of our larger discussion of transformations in our profession and our role in the world. We have all seen the devastating impact of global warming. Extreme weather is taking lives and livelihoods, destroying infrastructure and disrupting agriculture. Through these and other effects, climate change is exacerbating many global crises, including food insecurity and poverty. A growing global demand for sustainability has fueled demand for sustainability disclosures. For stakeholders to assess a company's performance or future performance, they need a clear and comprehensive picture of its ability to create sustainable value over time and not just a snapshot of its finances. Establishment in November 21 of ISSB, the International Sustainability Standards Board, was an important step toward meeting stakeholder demand while advancing a comprehensive global baseline for sustainability disclosures. But for the ISSB's standards to have a global reach, jurisdiction level adoption and implementation is going to be key. It is essential that our profession in every country should engage and advocate with the relevant stakeholders, including public authorities, to keep up the momentum behind the ISSB. We all need to work hard and in collaboration to ensure that global standards become local. This must be a top priority for every country, even where sustainability disclosures are not yet required. Regulatory requirements in other regions, like European Union and elsewhere, will have ripple effects around the world as firms in those jurisdictions examine the climate risk in their supply chain. All businesses, including enterprises, will have beyond their borders, and so will the member bodies, professional organizations like yours. Our profession's role in climate action is an exceptionally important facet of our contribution to sustainability. From all actors, climate action prevent the worst outcomes. And we have to admit that there has been some progress recently. COP26 led to significant pledges for climate change mitigation. And COP27 went a step further with the first ever pledges for loss and damages compensation. But until they are implemented, commitments are only words. In the meantime, we continue to approach the 1.5 degrees Celsius warming threshold at an alarming pace. Plus, more and more voices from different stakeholders, organizations, civil and younger generations are expressing their frustration with the slow pace in the progress that is being made. And perhaps the greatest challenge for our young people today is to take care of our planet and to do more than past have been able to do to stabilize and address issues of environmental and societal sustainability. As accountants, a major role we can do in collaboration with other stakeholders to saving the world in regard. The accountancy profession needs to work is there. You may all be familiar with the expression, what gets measured gets done. Well, we are the measurers. Specific plans need to be made to cover every step of the process. And these plans need to have clear measures and targets that should be reported on regularly and transparently with independent verification. And this must happen through the society, in government, as well as private organizations. But we are not just the measurers, we are also the strategists. And we have the power to be the influencers. We are the ones who can present the most compelling narratives for change backed by data. We need to own that responsibility so that, as professional accountants, we can make a difference in our world. Professional accounting organizations also have an enormous opportunity and responsibility to equip their members with the skills and competencies for sustainability services. On this point, our profession should harness the power of partnerships, universities, and other educational institutions. Our organizations should engage with them regularly and consistently to define sustainability competency requirements and update the curriculum and learning resources. So the urgent call to action on sustainability will be education, both initial and continuous education. We should not waste more time proving to ourselves and to others our relevance in sustainability. We should get to action and tackle the education of our students and our members. So before closing my opening remarks, I would like to draw everybody's attention and remind everybody of our public interest mandate, which I don't think we stress enough among ourselves and our stakeholders, and which is closely linked to their outgoing sustainability. In addition to having a global outreach like no other profession, we have our public interest mandate. As a regulated profession, we are subject to an ethical code and public oversight. And it is our ethical standards that are our most defining characteristic. We are bound by an enforceable code of ethics, meaning we are committed to act in the public interest. And that is a tremendous responsibility, but also a wonderful opportunity that gives our profession and the young people joining us a sense of purpose. So with these words, I encourage you all to enjoy this lovely convention, and thank you again for your hospitality and your welcome.
Thank you so much, Ms. Asma Rasmuti. And it was, again, another delight listening to her, and just the sweetness in her tone. I think I might be diabetic now. Just kidding. No, I think, when I was thinking about hosting this event, I thought that, accountants, money people, people that deal with maths all the time and just numbers. And I thought, oh, it might not be that much fun. But, just listening to your broad perspectives and how you all are contributing toward, a stable and sustainable future, it's literally like so inspiring. And because I felt like I need to wake you all up again, because later on we have to spill the tea. I mean, half the tea. But so there's a joke, okay, and somebody has to answer it. Is that okay? So, what do accountants and pilots have in common? Anybody? They're also busy. They just pay flying wizards. Because you guys are working so hard, you must be really, really busy. And we were just talking about, the theme of our session today, and it is environmental, social governance, and sustainability with the accounting perspective. And it's really, really important right now. Ms. Asma, you're from the continent of Africa, if I'm not wrong, right? And 2 days ago, I read this news that Africa might be dividing in two parts because there's going to be a new ocean in between. Yeah, in countries like Namibia, or Chad, they might have a seafront now. So this is right now we are experiencing the effects of global warming and climate change right before our eyes, and our future generations have to experience what we're leaving behind. And in science, we say we often leave behind as human beings are scars. So we should, have this accountability, self-accountability, and this, sense of autonomy that whatever decisions we are making for ourselves, they should not negatively impact our future generations. And this convention here solely focuses on that, but obviously with the accounting perspective. And moving forward, we have our keynote speaker and guest of honor, Dr. Nadeem Ulhaq. I love saying doctor. You guys must have seen that. So is the Vice Chancellor of Pakistan Institute of Development Economics, PIDE, with a PhD in economics from the University of Chicago. Dr. Nadeem Ulhaq is currently the Vice Chancellor of PIDE, and he also served as the Deputy Chairman of Planning Commission of Pakistan from 2010 to 13. And apart from his work in Pakistan, Nadeem Ulhaq worked for the International Monetary Fund, IMF, very hot in news right now, isn't that true? But he was there for 24 years, and Dr. Nadeemul Haq is also a published author with 5 books and over 50 articles in various publications to his credit. And he has a great vision for the economic sector of Pakistan and wishes to extensively work towards sharpening domestic debate and raising awareness on social front. So, please, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much, folks. I think you're really, really taking a huge risk. I never thought accountants were that risk-taking. I thought accountants were conservative people. Inviting economists at dinner time is really, really risky. You're going to be bored to death, and you're going to all fall asleep, and you'll probably even miss your dinner. President Shahzad, Mr. Tola, Ashfaq Tola Sahab, State Minister, the President of ICAP or ISAP. Yes, ICAP. Thank you. It's absolutely wonderful to speak to a professional accountants. I see the whole of Pakistan's accounting profession here. So it's absolutely wonderful to speak to you and speak to you about uniting the global accounting fraternity. I don't know much about it, but I shouldn't say that. I'm half an accountant. I trained to be an accountant when I was just after I graduated from LSE. I didn't finish the degree, went off to do a PhD. So half an accountant, but I've forgotten all my accounting, but that's besides the point. I'm glad you're thinking of uniting the profession. I'm not going to talk about accounting, I'm going to talk about something broader. First of all, uniting Pakistan, because today we are extremely fragmented. Second, uniting South Asia. Climate change is still a distant problem. Our disunity is an immediate problem. It's happening today, right now, even as we speak. So I'm going to talk about something totally different and purely from the point of view of Pakistan. I know there's lots of people from South Asia. I'd like to talk about South Asia, but I don't think I will. It's already too disunited. I don't want to create a further conflagration. I will say one thing, that the whole of South Asia puts politics and ethnicity and religion before everything. We are not a people who want economic development. We are not a people who care about economic development. We think that being politically divided, ethnically divided, religiously divided, to us is a much higher premium than unity. So I'm really pleased by your call for unity. But what I'm going to talk about is something that pertains to Pakistan. I'll give you this. This is called the Charter of Economy. This is our reform agenda. Why is it that we are failing? Why is it that Pakistan is about to default or has defaulted? I don't take a position on that. The media is taking a position on that. I'm just quoting what the media is saying. We have had an altercation in both Lahore and Islamabad today. Stability is totally unstuck, unglued. Our economy is sinking. I'd love to know what the accounting profession is thinking about that. At the same time, Sri Lanka is facing similar problems. India is doing slightly better. But again, India has its own ethnic problems. South Asia has this deep problem. And I ask you why. The thinking behind our Charter of Economy is very simple. One, we came out of colonialism totally unprepared. The colonial state, the character of the colonial state was to maintain law and order, prevent enterprise from happening here, prevent the private sector from happening here. The purpose of the colonial state was to keep the domestic population suppressed And the purpose of colonial state was to extract the revenue from here and send it out. At the same time, to keep the domestic population happy by means of giving them what we now call relief. We'll give relief, we'll give you payouts, we'll give you handouts. All countries in South Asia are doing that. The term Garibi Hatao and the term relief do, this is all colonialism, colonial patrimonialism. Ladies and gentlemen, accountants, I ask you, have we got rid of colonialism? Are we truly independent? In our thought, in our behavior. And I think, thank you, we are not. With independence, what did we do? We kept the colonial infrastructure intact. We all have the same civil service, so the same deputy commissioner, the same secretary, the same centralized system. The government everywhere. There's a conflict in the government and the private sector. We at PIB have measured what we call the footprint of the government, which is what the government controls. Any idea what the government controls? Any guesses? Does the government control 20% of GDP, 30%, 40%? Raise your hand who thinks 50%. 60%. 70%. It's more than 70%. 80%. The government controls 70 to 80% of GDP, just as the colonials wanted us to. So where's the market? What do you accountants do? Who are you auditing? But I know most of you are auditing the government. You're not auditing the private sector. The private sector hardly exists. We've looked at the private sector. Dola Saab knows. Private sector, stock market of Pakistan is shrinking. Come down from 20 to 5% of GDP. Stock market is disappearing. Only 31 firms control the stock market. Mahbubullah said 22 firms. Today it's 31 firms that control the stock market. With 31 firms, and all of them very small, at least India has big firms. Our largest firm is $1 billion at most, even less than that. Most of our firms are very small. So what development have we had in this? So I ask you, in 75 years, where are the private sector firms in Pakistan? And why does the government control 80%? Because quite frankly, we have had no economic policy. I know every government yells and screams, Namashi tabahi kar di, ye kar diya, every government blames the past government. But as an economist, as somebody who reviews the economy long distance, we've had 23 fund programs. 23 fund program means we've been in a program almost all the time. Each fund program lasts 1 to 3 years. And it takes us less than a year or two to go back to a fund program. We yell and scream that we've completed the program, but we haven't. We never complete a program. I used to be in the fund, and coffee table conversation was, we are a first tranche country. We never complete a program. We never complete a structural adjustment. Fair enough. But why not? Because we really have never had an economic policy. I was in the planning commission, I can tell you, we never had an economic policy. We used to have 5-year plans in the 60s and 70s. We gave our plans in 1973. Since then, there have been no economic plans. Yes, we paid lip service to them. Yes, I made a framework of economic growth, which actually was approved by the National Economic Council twice. You can't get better than that. National Economic Council approved the plan. Fact is, nobody had read it. Fact is, nobody has still read it. The fact is, nobody knows what's in it. So we really never have a policy. What do we have? To begin with, we had no economists. So we had some consultants come in and tell us, and one of them was Gus Papanek, and I know him, he's in Boston, 90 years old, still kicking. Gus Papanek came and told us Then Dr. Mahbubullah, one of our best economists, he went into the PhD in Yale, and he came up with this, which is the famous two-gap model. Borrow, build roads. Guess what? 75 years later, we are still borrowing and building roads. Or we are borrowing and building a brick and mortar. We built 300 universities without professors. I know Sri Lanka, everywhere we have good universities. So we give them credit. But what do we produce? So we got a problem here. Economic policy, we only have borrowing for infrastructure. And infrastructure we interpret as hard infrastructure, which is building things. Building this 300 universities. We've got 100 stadiums that don't work. We've got 300 universities that don't work. We have got 400 training agencies that train only 3 months in a year. The rest of the time they're empty. Huge capacity underutilization. What do we build? Yet, the world is going in a certain direction now, which is very, very different now. The world is going in the direction of software. My classmate Paul Romer, who got the Nobel Prize for Economics, has a famous phrase. We need more recipes, not more meals. We need more ideas, not more products. Let me give you a simple example. Everybody in Pakistan tells me we need an industrial policy. Let me ask you a simple question. What is this? Anybody knows what this is? It's not a mobile phone. Why do I show off an Apple? They earn $400 per phone. Apple makes $400 per phone. Yet this phone is not made in the US. Do you know where this phone is made? Made in China. So what is Apple? The largest company in the world, 3 trillion company. What is Apple? Sorry? R&D company. And what is R&D in our part of the world? Pakistan R&D is almost negative. Our foreign consultants, I'm just reading a great book by economist Matsumoto, where she's talking about consulting firms, McKinsey, etc., how they've hollowed out Europe. These are donors that hollowed us out here. We have no R&D making capacity, we have nothing, and we pretend that we're going to grow. How are we going to grow? How are we going to grow? I just don't understand. So that's the question that we try and raise at the Charter. So what do we need, ladies and gentlemen? We need to grow up. We need to stop thinking that roads and brick and mortar will make growth. Crony industrial policy will make growth. What should replace it? Everybody in Pakistan, because the footprint of the government is 80%, I can tell you honestly, hardly anybody makes money without the government. It's all crony capital. There's no market competition here. We've been talking about it, guys, let's build the market first. Nobody wants to build the market. When you say build the market, people become socialist market. We need more government. So we've got a deep quandary here. We've got to discuss where we are. So this is the role that you can play. What does our charter say? Our charter takes this view as we need a deep reform. Even the IMF, I used to work for the IMF. I've got a few books back there, including a comment you wrote on the IMF. IMF is never a solution. IMF itself is engaged in a dance of death with China. IMF can't give up Pakistan, and Pakistan can't give up IMF. We are both engaged in a dance to death. That we both know we need each other. IMF can't let us go, we won't let it go, and we'll keep going through program after program after program. I estimate we won't finish our program till 2030, and maybe even beyond. Because there are deep structural reforms that are required. And everybody says structural reforms. Let's not hide under the rug of structure. There's no structure. It's very simple. We need to grow up and accept the fact we You can't copy an English constitution and get it. We've copied our thinking. I'm not saying throw out the constitution, but there are amendments we can make. There are all kinds of amendments we can make. For example, even the US has changed its election law. We can change the way we conduct elections. For example, limits. We can introduce term limits. Who's asking? Why shouldn't there be term limits? Why shouldn't there be family limits? For example, Professor Hichima has done families who control the parliament. They're rotten boroughs. They keep coming in repeatedly. What happened when there were rotten boroughs in England? They changed election laws. England has 3 centuries of constitutional reform. We've had 21 constitutional amendments, but they have not been for reform. They've been for going backwards. Now it's time we started going forward. We need a real administrative reform. We still have the colonial civil service, we still have the colonial police, we still have the colonial laws, we still have the colonial judiciary. Excuse me, did anybody hear it's the 21st century? Are we living in 1860 with Lord Macaulay? Do you know in Pakistan, and I'm sure it's the same in India and Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, at least when 20 years ago I was in Sri Lanka, it was the same. Those files with, what do you call it? String tied around it, and people writing in bad handwriting that nobody can read. The iPad isn't here. Why can't we use the iPad? Why can't we use the computer? So for God's sakes, can't we even make this little reform that we can start using technology? No, we can't do that because we have got an outmoded training system, an outmoded civil service, an outmoded judiciary, and we are still living with the 19th century method of work, which slows everything down. Which means, as we calculated in GID, we did calculate the cost of regulation. We've got a sludge series, the cost of regulation, how much each businessman, each whatever actor, even the students have to get NOCs, certificates, and all these things. 45% of the cost to the economy for people wasting their time just running around offices and pleading. How many of you have lived overseas? I'm sure many of you have lived overseas. I've lived for 30 years in the US, I lived for 5 years in England. I've never seen a government office. I didn't know where the mayor lived. I didn't know where the minister lived. Only thing I knew was 10 Downing Street, the White House. But here, I have to go to an office every day just for my daily living. Why? This is regulation that is costing us a lot. Second thing is developing markets. We have no markets in this country. Ladies and gentlemen, even a simple market like wheat, we don't have a wheat market. We don't have a wheat market at all, right? Because the government buys wheat. We don't have a sugar market. We don't have any markets. So we have to start thinking of markets. And we have to stop pampering people. We are pampering too many people. Too many subsidies, too many, public sector workers also subsidiary. Everybody wants a government job. And I think it's the same across South Asia. Why? We want a government job because I'll never be fired. I'll never have to work. I come in at 12. I go to 2. My daughter will get employed. But where are we living? This is the 21st century. So quit complaining they don't give us money. I'm surprised they give us. They give us foreign policy we don't develop us. Because we don't want development. So ladies and gentlemen, our charter is deep reform, big reform, and the biggest problem in South Asia is we have no civil society. Civil society is created by the Westerners who comes here, gives us some money, and it's an NGO. NGOs are not civil society. Civil society is a national conversation. Where is the national conversation? We have events, but we have no national conversation. Why is there no national conversation for reform? When I look at the history of the West, it was made by reform, renaissance, reformation, progressive reform, this reform, that reform, anti-slavery. It was made by reform. Why is South Asia not making reform? Is it because we are so deeply religious? Is it because we are sitting in the medieval era? Are we ever going to come together and make a reform? And I appeal to you, professionals. When I went to Brussels and I saw the Grand Square, which many of you have seen, all the buildings are made by guilds. What are guilds? Professionals like you, professional associations like you. Where are the guilds in Pakistan? Where are the guilds in South Asia? Where are the professionals? Are they all running after government servants, wagging their tail, seeking favors? Or are you an agent of change? My economists, we are not an agent of change. We are wagging dogs looking for government jobs. We are not a profession. Are you guys a profession? For any profession, then we've done a survey, and I can tell you the results are sad. We can't blame the government, we can't blame the world, blame ourselves. We really are not a community yet. We're not a community of thinkers. We don't have a concept. That's my message to you. I hope we can get together and establish a conversation with the charter. I urge you comments. Let's expand the debate in the Charter of Economy. Don't wait for the politicians to do it in the dark room. We must all do it together. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nabil Haq. You are the Vice Chancellor of PIDE, and we all saw just how amazingly his brain works. Like right now, my brain is like fireworks because I learned so many things, and this was like the TED Talk that I needed. And I'm sure it really helped broaden your horizons as well. Right now, we will have a little teeny tiny tea break, and with that, you all can offer your Maghrib prayers. And I would request the guests in the front to please be seated because your tea will be served here or spilled here. But I'm just kidding. Yeah, so we're gonna have a tea break. Thank you.
आओ जी वो आओ जी जिस बुलाया उसको कर देते हो आपके पास सर्टिफिकेट नहीं है एक्स्ट्रा
वो भी लगी हुई है भाई सब
अब मैं उसमें जा रहा हूँ
इसी से लगाया ना आपको जो चीज चाहिए वही नजर आ रही है कोई मसला नहीं है
बाहर लगाना चाह रही हूँ कि मैं कहता हूँ इधर जरा अपनी स्टडी में रहता
कुछ भी नहीं यहाँ नजर आ रहा है आप टेंशन ले सी टैप है
सीट है
नहीं आईफोन है
A young team
उधर बंदा गया तो समोसा क्यों कहते उधर निकलते ये चीजें और उसी के यार वहां से लेके बिस्कुट दे चल जूस दे
ये तो ये फेसबुक पे इंस्टाग्राम पे करता है ये नीचे तुम लोग ना और सुनो अब वहाँ जा भी नहीं जल्दी करो
भाई साहब डॉक्टर नितिन साहब और जिया साहब को भेजें तो भी आप
श्रीलंका का भी बड़ी जगह है
अब्बासी साहब अब्बासी साहब
किसी के गायब हो गए सारे टेबल खाली भी है नहीं तो सारी समोसा चुप लिया पुलिस स्टार्टर
और आ जाएगी Our president used to, madam,
जाओ जो सॉरी शुरू में दूसरी वो नहीं जी हमें पता ठीक है
जैसा मैंने आज किया ऑफिस किसी को
क्योंकि आज एक सेल्फी ले लो unknown three people. What did it do? Selfie ले we don't take with that background. What is on? Take with that background.
यार वो दो लेडीज जो भी बैठी हुई हैं एक तो मेरी लेडी
बंदा बन रहा है इसी कार्ड में
जैसा पूरी जैसा वो आप
क्यों
Just a block.
चाय पिए चाय खड़ी मोबाइल उतारना है माइक चला दे पहले माइक चला दे और लोगों को सबमिट कर
हम सब आए ना
कुछ हंस रहा हो यार
So hot branch.
He's president of he's vice president.
चलो यार ये पिक्चर दे
किस साइड पे खाने कितना So we make yes, yes, 2 o'clock in the morning. Once again, we took pictures. मिस को कोई अनाउंस करेगी तो हाँ भी अनाउंस करा इधर भी अनाउंस
वेटर से आप किसी लोग सब पार्टी होता है
एक बार यहाँ पे करती भी
मेरी आदत है हाँ पार्टी ने ज़्यादा दे पार्टी नहीं ज़्यादा दे थोड़ा पार्टी ज़्यादा देती है तो ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਜਾਣਾ ਜਾਇਜ਼ ਹੈ ਪਰ ਭਾਵੇਂ ਮੈਨੇਜਰ ਵੀ
नोट शुगर है लग रहे
ਨੋਟ ਸ਼ੂਗਰ
हैं शक्कर है
ਜੁੱਤੀ ਪਾਉਂਗਾ
वेटर क्या कहना सी
ਵੇਟਰ ਦਾ ਹੈ ਸੀ ਨਾ ਵੇਟਰ अपनी रश है ये बैच में क्या क्या थर्ड पार्टी वाला है यार कोई ना सी पार्टी
कितने क्या
So these are
ना साफ
जी जी
काफी सारे केक खा लिए पीछे तो सड़ दे पीछे सड़ दे पीछे सड़ दे पीछे सड़ दे
थोड़ी सी आवाज और बढ़ा सकते हैं आप लोग भी पीछे सीटें भी लगा दी है ना हमने सर मैं वॉल्यूम कर देता हूँ हाँ रेज करता हूँ लेकिन फीडबैक कर देगा अच्छा ये बताइए ऊपर वाले स्पीकर है ये नहीं लिंक हो उसके साथ चलो मैं कोशिश करता हूँ और रोस्टम को थोड़ा सा
उस साइड पे पीछे कर देना
मैं थोड़ा वॉल्यूम बढ़ा दूँ
रुस्तम थोड़ा सा पीछे होना चाहिए ऊपर होना चाहिए
चलो मैं कोशिश करता हूँ ऐसे ही ना मैं कोशिश करता हूँ ऐसे वॉल्यूम ऊपर अभी जो पैनल डिस्कशन है सब लोग बैठ जाना है रोस्टम का तो मसला ही खत्म नहीं
और फिर तो कोई मसला नहीं है
फिर तो ठीक है उनके वॉल्यूम में ऊपर कर सकता हूँ क्योंकि वो स्पीकर के बैक साइड फ्रंट पे जो माइक होता है ना वो फीडबैक लेता है अच्छा अच्छा बस वो अभी पीछे जा रहे हैं नहीं वो तो मैं जितना आप कहेंगे मैं भी वहाँ जा सकती हूँ ठीक है बस वो पीछे बड़ी लोग नहीं एक तो वो जो है ना वो बोलते बहुत आहिस्ता है अब ये मैम बोलती है ना ये सही बोलती है इनको पता कैसे बोलना अब वो पैनल में क्यों काफी लोग है ना कोई हल्का बोलेगा कोई तेज बोलेगा देखो मैं कर सकता हूँ वो मैं मैनेज कर
फाइनल है जैसे थोड़ा पीछे कर देना दर्द कट रहा है
कैमरामैन वही ये भैया ये लाइव स्ट्रीम
Everybody, I would request you all to please be seated. We will now proceed with the second part of our convention here today. Everybody, I would request you all to please be seated. We will start shortly. everybody, I would request you all to please become seated and welcome back from your tea breaks. We will now start with the second part of our session here today. I request you all to please be seated in your seats. Welcome back, everybody. We will now proceed with the second part of our session here today at the ICMA International Convention of Accountants. And first of all, in the second part of our session, I would like to invite CA Nizar Jabusaria. You are the president of SAPA, Southeast Asian Federation for Accountants. And CA Nihar Jambusaria was appointed the IFAC PAIB Advisory Group in January 2021 as the Vice President of ICAI for the year 2020 to 21. He was in practice for nearly 27 years. Jambusaria is now Vice Chairman of all standing committees, including Executive Finance and Examination Committees, besides being ex officio member of all non-standing committees of ICAI. Sir, I would request you all to please come at the podium for your speech. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody, and greetings from SAPA. Before I speak about SAPA or something else, let me ask a question. You know what SAPA is? Everybody? Yeah, here I think literacy about SAPA is very high, but we noticed that in some other regions it was not so well known. SAPA is South Asian Federation of Accountants, and we are very thankful to ICMA Pakistan for organizing SAPA board meeting today here. We had about 2.5 hour long board meeting today, and we deliberated on various topics. One very important topic you are covering in this conference. Let me inform you that today SAPA encompasses 7 countries of the South Asian region: Pakistan, Bangladesh, India, Sri Lanka, Afghanistan, Maldives, and Bhutan is an observer. So we meet almost 5 to 6 times in a year for a board meeting, and we have about 6 to 8 major events during the year. The objective of SAPA is to spread knowledge about the current topics, share knowledge with each other, and you will all appreciate that after the pandemic, the importance of co-creation and collaboration has increased so much. We are able to interact virtually, and as a result, on every subject of importance to the profession, we meet virtually, and we share knowledge with each other, and we try to see that the development in the region is almost uniform. Today we deliberated on information technology, the use of information technology, which has become so important today, that almost everything is now going on the technology platform. Perhaps time will very soon come when the hardcore accountants will not be required at all. You feed your voucher and machine will prepare your accounts. And that is why artificial and machine learning is something on which all PAOs, that is the local institutes, have concentrated their focus. Apart from this, today's topic on which 2 days long ESG, environment, social and governance, it has gathered importance in the entire world. The 17 sustainability development goals are being pursued by the world very seriously. And one major goal which every country is pursuing is climate change, which has changed the seasons in the entire world today. It has seasons like what we used to have 10 years back. And the temperature is rising at such a pace that there is a threat to the existence of Earth. Some of my previous speakers, today we are extracting resources and using them in such a way that in fact we are borrowing from the future generation and leaving hardly anything for them. So the concept of recycling, circular economy are all coming to fore. I remember when I was a child, my parents used to say that the younger brother or sister should use the clothes of elder brother or sister to the extent it is possible. The same time has come. Today's children require new clothes. The younger child will not like to use elder brother or sister's clothes. Circular economy is what? Recycle the used material. Apart from this, there are several other issues like soil erosion. We use pesticides to produce more and more uh, grains, food products. And as a result, soil erosion has affected so much that now with pesticides also, some areas are not producing anything. Water management problem. In many parts of the world, even housing societies are recycling the used water and it is being used for several purposes. So time has come to think about environment seriously. Social governance, these topics will be deliberated in detail and I am not focusing on that. I will speak about one or two initiatives which are major. Like today in every country of the world, MSMEs are contributing almost 40% to the total GDP. And MSMEs were worst affected during the pandemic. So if I talk about India, we have created a separate dedicated MSME committee and we are working for revival and survival of the MSMEs. I think same should be the position in Pakistan also. Bangladesh, all related countries of the South Asian region. Startups require encouragement in this uncertain economic environment. Enthusiastic youngsters who are knowledgeable are averse to start a new entrepreneurship. They require a lot of encouragement, and I think our profession must take a lead. Our professionals were known as auditors and tax professionals. Today, time has come when governments and societies are looking at accountants for every solution in any field, whether it is ESG, whether it is economic development, whether it is information technology, take any field, whether it is startup, whether it is MSME. And let us rise to the occasion, take the leadership, and give to the society and government what they are expecting from us. The United Nations has made one line statement. It is accountants who will save the world. Let us live up to this expectation, work towards that. Thank you so much for inviting.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jambusaria, for your words and for shedding light on how our resources are being depleted and what we need to do in terms to preserve them for our future generations. And now I would like to call our moderator for the panel discussion that will be on environmental, social governance, and sustainability according to the accounting perspective. And our moderator is Dr. Khalid Mumtaz. You are the director. You are the Director of Leadership Development Center at Bahia University, and you are also the founder of many corporate entities and form of business startups. So I would like you to please come on at the podium and give an overview of our panel discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. There are always 11th hour conclusions, and this is one of them. So I am the moderator for session, which is on environmental social governance. And I would take my lead from our keynote speaker, Dr. Nadeem, who heads 5. I think words of passion coming from our esteemed fellow. And it's high time that accountants rise to occasion. The President Safa mentioned that UN has issued one-line statement that accountant is supposed to be expected to save the world. So you might have been aware of a character which was Ned the hero in old English movies. So he comes and saves the world. I think these accountants are going to be Neds now. How prepared are we for that role is a question mark, and especially when this question is asked in the backdrop of these natural disasters, economic meltdown, political instability, lack of measurability of lots of things which have caused this to happen. So I think we as accounting bodies, it's a time to reframe ourselves in the backdrop of whatever we are going through. And fortunately, I would say that these problems present lots of potentials. And we have probably 5 panelists here. So in this session, I'll focus on ESG, and I'll ask questions from them for your information. This topic is very close to my heart because this was my topic when I tried to write my PhD dissertation on corporate default. So my model was embedding ESG information into Altman Z-score to predict corporate default. So please stop me if I'm very passionate about this, but I'll restrict myself to questions from the panelists. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Khalid, for giving us an overview of our panel discussion that is, waiting ahead of us. Now, I would like to announce our for today. And first of all, we have Professor Dr. Mario Vicentes, the President Accountants of Mozambique. Then we have CA Nisar Jambusaria, who is appointed to the IFAC PAIB Advisory Group. And next up, we have Dr. Irshad Tariq, the Regional Learning and Development Manager and MEA Region at Holcim Cement. All the panelists that are physically present, please, I would request you all to come at the stage. And then we have on cloud joining us virtually, we have Ms. Aruni Raja Carrier. You are the founder and director at She Consults Private Limited, and she's joining us on cloud from Sri Lanka. Next up, we have Hina Usmani. Hina is a fellow member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Pakistan, and she's carrying over 30 years of combined work and professional practice experience, and is the founder and managing partner of Usmani and Companies. Then we have Jamal Milham, and you are the BACPA board member and chair of MENA Region Working Group at IFAC. I would request again all the panelists that are physically present here to please come at the stage. Thank you.
Thank you very much, fellows, for coming here. This question for the panel discussion would run around our session, which keynote speaker delivered, and the questions would not be, as very direct, but I will try to frame the questions towards our eminent speakers directly, in terms that, but anyone can pop for answering that question.
I'm sorry, I missed one panelist. It's Dr. Nadeemul Haq, Vice Chancellor at PIDE. I would request you, sir, to please come at the stage. And I would request Dr. Saab to please continue giving a start to our panel discussion.
Sir, thank you very much. In order to apprise the House of the importance of this topic, I would like to point the first question to Professor, who is President of Institute of Virtually. If the professor could shed some light on what exactly is ESG and what role accountants have in this environmental social governance, especially knowing that now it exists in form of index. It is now a measurable thing. It can be measured. But how well are we positioned, and what is the role of ESG in accounting profession? Professor. Can she hear us? Professor, can you hear us? Okay, meanwhile, I'll let the IT team fix this glitch. I can move on. When one gets a weak eyesight, one forgets to put on glasses sometimes. It's difficult to decide when to put them, when to put them off. I would. Dr. Mario, can you hear us? Dr. Mario, can you return your mic if it's off? I think in the meanwhile we can carry on while the IT team fixes this.
Okay. I was saying thank you very much to have invited me. And first of all, I would like to say that the ESG, it is becoming in the modern era the very important report for sustainability of the stakeholder and companies. The world is facing a range of complex challenges, from climate change, social inevitability, to technology disruption and geopolitical risks. Those challenges have profound implications for individuals, organizations, business, and society at large, and accountability and ethics has been asked to help for the planning of the future world. ESG reporting will impact companies and auditors, which the role is ensuring the quality of ESG information from audited companies to investors, stakeholders, and the regulators takes on a new and very important significance of the fight against climate change and of the ways in which companies will be held accountable for the communities. ESG, it incorporates a broad range of issues that are increasingly important to investors and stakeholders. So in this way, in recent years, ESG reporting has become just an important financial reporting as investors seek to understand an organization overall performance and sustainability. Therefore, there is no ESG without accountant. However, accountants cannot do this alone. ESG issues. It is complex and multifaceted and requires a collaborative effort from various stakeholders to address the ESG's reporting and becoming a key requirement in business as investors seek to evaluate the sustainability and impact of the investment, and the investor are used as a key ratio for investors' decision. I don't know if you hear me well.
Yeah, Doc, we can hear you very well. We hear you very well.
Thank you. Accountants have a crucial role as they are responsible for reporting financial statements and ensuring that these statements accurately reflect the organization's performance, including its ESG impact. This requires collecting and analyzing data on the organization's environment, social and governance impacts, and ensuring that this information is reported during to-do business. The modern accountant perspective must provide guidance on sustainability reporting and best practice and help to organize to identify areas where it can impact the ESG performance. In this regard, it is important to take advantage of the call made by the IFAC, International Federation of Accountants, to support the initiative to transform the new global standards into local reporting requirements with consistent and comparable ESG information. The accounting profession worldwide has the appropriate skills and knowledge to accomplish the mission and should immediately take a leading role in discussing, understanding, and establishing guidelines for the quality, standardization, and renewable of companies. ESG disclosures change-related change through the program international reflection with their companies on these important topics, as this type of reporting will be increasingly demanded by investors, regulators, and a range of stakeholders.
Thank you, Professor. That was very enlightening, and we agree that it won't be accountants alone doing this, but the collection of this ESG data, laying down the reporting mechanism, and arranging for the adequate disclosure of this information with manual reports would form an integral part of the corporate reporting. We really appreciate your comment on this, and I think this enlightens us on how accountants would take this issue up. Now, I would like to ask a couple of more questions with our panelists sitting here, and if you allow me, I can start with Dr. Nadeemullah, Vice Chancellor for PIDE. Sir, a very passionate address from your side, and I would say we could hear it, that it comes from the heart. But sir, sustainability is a journey which doesn't start in one day and doesn't stop in one day. In that context, do you think that this the ESG measurement or the metrics or the strategy which the companies would adopt or the countries would rather adopt, do you see the role of regulators, the corporate governors, including accounting bodies, even frankly teaching institutions or higher education institutions, to really apprise the nation of this ESG initiative, and how can this be made sustainable in your humble view, sir? माइक जरा चेक करते हैं चल रहा है सर
ऑन नहीं है वो बटन प्रेस करें
Thank you very much. I think quite frankly, ESG is very complicated. It involves, first of all, most important of all, pricing. We have to price certain things, like I was talking to somebody just now. For example, in our cities, we have to look in ESG at the macro level, at the micro level, or as Anil just said, it has to go from the micro to macro. Now, the government is not willing to price the car. The government is not willing to price construction. The government is not willing to price fraud. So you've got these cities that are stretching, this number is stretching from Gujarat to Ahmedabad, circumference of maybe 50 miles, maybe more, maybe 100 miles. I don't think that's sustainable ever. It will never be sustainable no matter what you do. The horror is stretching from Gujarat to Flatport, it will never be sustainable. So most important of all, first of all, I think we have to figure out what cities are. And I would apply that across South Asia. We've got the most polluted cities in the world, and this is all due to our approach to the car. So if you can't deal with the car, if you can't deal with the other pricing, for example, the pricing of water. The pricing of water is egregious. We supply free water for a sugar industry, which we shouldn't have. Now with free water, everybody is overusing water, so we can't save water. So I think ESG requires a very complex system of pricing, a very complex system of markets, and a very complex system of taxation. And I don't think as a country we are ready to do it. We don't have the skills, we don't have the ability to do it. Your universities are professorless, you've got 122 regulatory bodies which don't have the capacity to regulate. In fact, all they're doing is a mess of things. Take draft, for example. Draft cannot regulate the market, instead it stops the pharmaceutical industry from working. So we have to get much deeper into the subject and to change our entire system to make ESG work. Thank you.
Sir, thank you very much. Thank you very much for comment that it's quite a complicated system, frankly. And I would also thank you for commenting on our for us to build ability to handle this. But definitely the world has its own view on this. We as a country, a third world nation, we have the right to have our own view on this. With this, I move on to one of our virtual speakers, Ms. Aruni Rajakarya, is founder director of She Consultants Private Limited, Sri Lanka. She has joined us virtually. Ms. Rajakar, thank you very much for joining us. As I was talking with Dr. Nadeem and seeking his comment on that, how would we start this journey? So I would like to get your comment on that. What do you think that this ESG thing can really get started at the corporate level, at the level of companies, to start with maybe listed companies or public companies, and then coming down to the private companies, coming down to the smaller business? And how can we really start this at corporate level? If I can have made your comments on this, please. Mr. Oni, can you hear us?
Sorry, what was the question for me?
I can restate the question. We were talking about the ESG initiative.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Yes, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
Could you repeat the question, please?
Yeah, I would repeat the question for you. You were talking of this environmental, social, and governance initiative being taken at the country level or at the corporate level or coming down to the small business level. So my question to specifically you is that do you think that getting started with this initiative at the corporate level is possible for countries like this part of the world? And how would this start happening actually, in your opinion? If you could just please apprise of your views on this.
Okay, right. So, first of all, I think when a corporate decides that they want to go and commence their ESG journey, it's best that I strongly recommend that it is led by the board. So at least the appointment of a director who is in charge of ESG or sustainability and who is also knowledgeable about it should head the effort. The better thing is to actually set up a separate sustainability committee because the area is fairly vast. It requires formulation, monitoring of a fairly wide range of data. So therefore, it's best to have a board level committee. And then that must be supported by, of course, dedicated resources, a sustainability reporting team, and maybe an executive level committee as well. So that's as far as the structure goes. Then you need to select which frameworks you're going to report on, which SDGs are important to you. So you determine your material matters and then decide what areas you're going to focus on. So whether energy is relevant to you, whether water or materials or labor, and you set in place the policies, you set in place the strategies, understand the impacts and risks and opportunities, and you also have to have the metrics to support all that. And that's where really the accountants play a vital role in ensuring that the metrics have integrity, accuracy, reliability, comparability, and because what gets measured gets managed. So they must produce, like they produce financial statements, you need to have environmental statements, social statements, and even compliance statements, which are basically, governance. And from there, the rest is the decision making that follows. It must lead to efficient resource allocation and risk management and to seize opportunities. It should drive the innovation in both products and processes, efficiency of resources, the utilization of resources. So it makes such a lot of sense to have a proper board-led ESG agenda for corporates.
Thank you, Mr. Roni. This was, I think, a starting point for us. You mentioned that it should be led by a board, it should be board initiative. Yes, the availability of requisite data, sources, and most important, linking us with the right sustainable development goal. That's important. So all the goals might not be important for all the countries, all the corporates. So selecting the right goal to link yourself with is important. And very true that what gets measured gets done. So accountants' role in really developing localized metrics for ESG, that is where our both permanent accounting bodies in Pakistan come into play, including ICAP and ICAVP. Thank you very much. I think that was a very appropriate response. Before I ask more responses, we have a couple of questions for our participants here. and these questions are to be answered virtually. And if I could request you that you can open a browser on your cell phones, that is slido.com. I can spell it for you, slido.com. You can open this browser on your mobile phones. It would just have 2 questions which you would need to answer. It's just a survey we are conducting here pertinent to our today's session. They are, don't think it's an examination, there are 2 multiple choice questions, and there is no wrong answer. The answer which you pick is the right answer, right? So we're just trying to have a consensus here. So please take your time to fill this, and we will announce the results by the end of session in order just for us to have to gauge that how it wants a code. So the code is, since it's visible to audience, the code is, I can read it, it's hash 3338404. It's visible on the slide on our back. I repeat, the code is /3338404. So you can just log in and answer these 2 quick questions. Okay, without hash, I'm sorry. Therefore, I thought it's a hash, without a hash. So it would at least give us some idea that how prepared are we for this this thing known as ESG. So please do it at your convenience before the session ends so that we can compile results. In the meanwhile, I'll move on to our next question with one of our eminent speakers, Mr. Jambusaria, if I spell your name right, sir. I would just request your comment on this ESG landscape is not a static landscape. I mean, it's not something which stays static. I recall in our 9th grade biology, we read an organism which was amoeba, which changes shape all the times. So maybe this is going to change shape all the times. It won't remain static. So what do you think that while this matrix changes, environment changes, economy, society, governance changes, so how would accountants really cope up with this change? That's the first part of it. And sir, I can also add to this question that what skills you think or what training you think that accountants need to have or accounting bodies need to think about for preparing their members for this ESG, sir?
As you rightly put, ESG landscape is very dynamic. It is not static. So continuous learning is required, and for every institute, they need to set up a separate education system for continuously updating the ESG learning. And every accountant will have to learn it. But let me put it this way, that ESG is not something which accountant alone can deliver. It is a multidisciplinary function. It requires multidisciplinary approach in the sense that you have to involve other professionals like engineers, architects, waste management experts, and many others. But if you see the range of reporting which will be required, the range of implementation which will be required, it is very complicated, and every accountant will have to learn it. And particularly the strength of accountant remains in the requirement for measuring everything which is required to be reported. And there the measurement skill, the accounting skill will certainly be of very useful type. And here also, wherever updation is required on a continuous basis, the professional institutes will have to update this knowledge and will have to keep the continuous professional development programs for ESG very specifically.
Yes, sir, thank you very much. Accountants will have to build partnerships, frankly. It's not a standalone phenomenon. We will not be doing it in isolation. We join hands with maybe actuarists, maybe social scientists, maybe environmentalists, or maybe various governing bodies then this ecosystem can be built, and probably accountants would be in a better position to deliver what is expected of them. And very well said that continuous updation is required. We do continuously update ourselves on many professional matters. Like that, we'll be needing that in this context too. And I would request my next panelist, Ms. Hina Osmani, Council Member ICAP. I hope she's here. ICAP is known for audit. I was always afraid of audit, but audit is your strength. If I would like you to request throw some light on that. What is the role that audit committees can play in successful implementation of ESG aspects in business?
Thank you very much. I think audit committee has a very critical role to play in this ESG development scenario, where the businesses, the companies have a lot of pressure and a lot of demand around for ESG implementation, its disclosures, and policy making. So, in its charter, audit committee may include the ESG oversight, which they can help management in clearly overseeing the affairs of ESG in terms of its disclosure. And disclosure can be considered in two ways. There's the quantitative disclosure and the qualitative disclosure. The quantitative disclosure would be the performance, the financial performance, which the companies should be disclosing in their financial statements. And the qualitative disclosure could be what can benefit the trust of shareholders and all these stakeholders in terms of people and planet. So these, plus the policies and procedures, internal control and governance, these are the areas where internal audit committee can support the management in overseeing the ESG matters. Same is the case with the need for any independent assurance, whether any independent assurance is required or not. In such situations, they could develop and see and guide the risk management strategies, the development of framework, how could they see and what value addition the independent assurance can add to ESG disclosures. So I feel that the audit committee has a very critical role to play, and in their charter, the ESG oversight should be included in it.
Thank you, Ms. Hina. I can sum it up very well said that ESG oversight will be included. The appropriate disclosure may be qualitative or quantitative, mandatory. Yes, accountants are good in disclosing quantitative aspect, but yes, this qualitative disclosure is also a good solution. And yes, then people and planet, though a social subject, but bringing that down to accountants domain would definitely be and would add synergy to accountants' role. With this, I would request one of our next panelists, Dr. Arshad Tariq, who is Regional Learning and Development Manager, MEE Region, Holcim Cement, if I speak it right. Dr. Thank you very much for coming here, and I'm sure we'll benefit from your expertise in this subject. And I would like to ask you, would you like to share some key performance indicators, KPIs, that may be considered when we incorporate ESG into our corporate strategies? And also, if you could comment on the sustainability as well, as you like to answer, sir.
Thank you very much. So maybe first of all, I would like to tell you why I am here. So I belong to a company where we are responsible for CO emission. So Holcim Cement, we are globally present. We are producing 1 million ton cement per day. We are the biggest cement producer, #1 cement producer in India. So we are facing two challenges which are main topics of ESG. So one is CO2 emission. Cement plants, they are always emitting CO2. This is one challenge, which is part of the first topic related to environment. The second thing which is related to the social topic is normally our cement plants, they are surrounded by communities. We are in the heart of communities, they are far away from the big cities. Normally we are using their land for the cement plant. We are using the quarry area, which is our raw material. So we are really facing and challenging these two challenges currently. And in our company, we have Chief Sustainability Officer. She is part of the group committee. She is reporting directly to group CEO. This is one thing. And then we have our commitment globally where we are working to reduce our CO2 emission. So recently we have pledged, we call it net zero emission, which we have to achieve by 2050. So this is just a background of why I am here and how we are managing this challenge. The other thing which you asked about KPIs. For me, the KPIs, they are very specific to the industry you are operating in. This is more specific to the geographical location you are in. And then the most important thing, what is your purpose of the organization? Do you have some story around this goal, which you want to tell to the surrounding communities, which you want to tell your customers? Then what is your product you are producing right now? So you have to define those KPIs which are most relevant to your industry and your geographical area. For example, for us, CO2 emissions, surrounding community management, these are two most important KPIs. And if you ask me, the most important thing is you should have an efficient and effective tracking system to monitor those KPIs. And as a professional accountant, definitely you can help your organization to devise those KPIs where company can suffer financial and non-financial losses. So this is all from my side.
Doctor, thank you very much for giving us the manufacturer's perspective. Obviously, may it be cement or may it be any other manufacturing, which has a very close environmental role. Thank you for giving us that perspective, and very rightly said that KPIs can't be standardized. Better if we have industry-specific KPIs and an effective tracking system. With this, I really thank my panelists, and I would request Master of Ceremony to continue with whatever is on the table.
This was our panel. This was our panel discussion on environmental, social governance and sustainability according to the accountant perspective. And accountants worldwide, just like our panelists and all of you here, are engaged in helping, develop these organizational and environmental policies, as well as, assessing the impact of new environmental regulations that will have on any organization, and they are also engaged in providing assurance services over the data reported by various organizations, and that was one of the reflections in our panel discussion here. And now I would like to invite Amir Ijaz Khan, the Executive Director of ICMA, for the vote of thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Looking forward to the interest of the audience, may I request that as we have the time, so we have a couple of questions from the audience as well for the panel. So if you can carry with that questions, we'll let you know that questions.
Are you taking questions from the audience?
They have already provided on the slide of feedback.
Okay.
So we have to proceed with that. Yeah, she has that question. Yeah.
We have a few questions here, and I would open the questions to all. Anyone who want to answer the question. It's from our audience. The first question is, that seems to like a quiz to me. I mean, I'm sorry if we can't answer that question that says, which country is leading in implementing ESG at its best? and how did they do it? Personally, I don't know the name of country, but if any one of us knows the name of country, then probably we can Google it down properly.
So maybe I can just contribute over here.
Yeah,
we are dealing globally. So normally now in the European Union countries, there are a lot of restrictions and there are a lot of issues in terms of compliance. So for example, for us now we are using green cement. So the cement we should have less CO2 emission, and we need to reduce all those negative impacts to the environment in our cement. So there is a lot of pressure in the European Union, and this is becoming more and more in the coming days. So I don't know exactly the which country, but at least I can categorize where we have more
You're right. I think European countries are actually taking the lead.
Yes, they are taking the lead.
Yes.
I just picked my phone to Google which country is leading, so at least I'll answer the question. But still with that, there's one more question from our audience, and that is specific to role of accounting bodies in Pakistan. And I can see our president sitting here and he's seeming tired. But sir, the question might come to you as well, maybe. The question is that what role accounting bodies in Pakistan are playing to implement this ESG mandate? So as a professional accountant, I can answer that, but being a moderator, I would not like to answer that.
May I answer?
Please.
As accounting body, I will give you an example of Institute of Chartered Accountants of Pakistan. We have, in collaboration with Securities and Exchange Commission of Pakistan, have made a sustainability development working group, which is regularly meeting, and I'm part of it. And we discuss and see the scenarios developing around and how we could educate our people, our members, all our stakeholders and businesses to get their knowledge updated through various initiatives, various knowledge sharing through print material, through webinars, and we are closely following the International Federation of Accountants, ISBA, ISB, what these ISSB, the standard setting boards, what they are doing and how they are aggressively working on the exposure draft and the standard setting process. So we are continuously communicating these standards, related news, related developments taking place to our members and to all our stakeholders.
Thank you, ma'am, for this informative answer. Yes, distance of standards is important for accountants to really implement something. Now, in the same context, we have one of our panelists who virtually we missed out earlier because of technical glitch. But Mr. Jamal Wilhelm has joined us. He's a board member of IASC at Jordan. He has joined us virtually. Welcome, Mr. Jamal. And as you were talking about the accounting standards, I would like to ask you that, in your opinion, what these standards would look like in your opinion. We know that we are well aware of IFRS on assets, on liabilities, on revenue recognition and stuff like this, but what do you think that how would the ESG standards look like in your opinion? Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to participate in this important event and to speak on this issue related to the sustainability. And I would like to start, as you mentioned, on what the standards look like, and then I will have additional comment on the role of accountants to play. In addition to what has been mentioned or discussed in the session. And I apologize in case I repeat some of the issues of the discussions because I didn't hear very well the discussions. I might miss some, I might repeat some. But anyway, let me start with the International Sustainability Standard Board. Upon the call from the international investors for high quality, transparent, reliable, and corporate responding by the companies on the climate and other environmental, social, and governance matters. In November 2021, IFRS Foundation established the International Sustainability Standard Board. And the main objective of that board is to deliver a comprehensive global baseline for the sustainability-related disclosures standards that provide the investors as well as the capital market with the information about the company's sustainability-related risks and opportunities to help them make informed decisions. The update on this, the exposure draft of S1 and S2, which can be also called IFRS S1 and IFRS S2, both of them, they were released as exposure draft in March 2022. And the board has received many comments from different parts of the world, and now they are in the preparation of redebate some of the proposals in the exposure draft of S1 and S2, and it is expected to be finalized before the end of the year 2023. So then, what is the S1? Let's take first the S1. The S1 is a general requirement for disclosures for sustainability-related financial information, which the exposure draft sets out overall requirements with the objective of disclosing the sustainability-related financial information that is useful to the primary users of the entity, of the entity's general purpose and the financial reporting. When they assess the entity's enterprise value, those and take decision, those information are really important. So the disclosures are meant to be or to help the investors to assess the value of the entity or the company, which requires the entity to disclose any material information about all the significant sustainability-related risks and opportunities to which it's exposed. And the standards also focuses on the information about significant sustainability-related risk and opportunities that can reasonably be expected to have an effect on the entity value. Under that disclosures, it is required from the entity to disclose what are their strategy and how they manage those risks, and what are the plans to mitigate that type of risks. Within that, they will be given that type of information to the users. In addition, the entity is required to show its plans to reduce the emission, or its plan and what is the progress of that plan. For example, if they are having some target to reduce up to a certain limit and they are achieving, for example, 20%, 30%. So each year, and whether that disclosures comes in the financial statements itself or a separate disclosure report, it has to show the progress of that plans of the entities. And that's the IFRS 1. I don't want to go with so much details due to the time limitation. I will just go quick to IFRS S2. It's a climate-related disclosures. So any risk related to the disclosures might affect the entity. It should be disclosed in the financial statements or in a separate report. It should be disclosed as per the IFRS S2. In addition, similar to the S1, the company's governance or entities governance strategies and management to how and the management plans how the companies are going to mitigate that type of risks. That's the main scope of IFRS 2 was related to climate-related risk and risk associated with the transition to lower carbon economy, which is a transition risk, and climate-related opportunities available to the entity. All those issues, in fact, the accountants, the technicians who are working as accountants in the entities, whether they are private or public entities, they should disclose and they should familiarize themselves about this. And the auditors, on the other hand, they should understand those type of standards as it is coming very soon, some amendment or some additional international audit standards to touch on this in providing the assurance whether the companies or entities are compliant, reasonably compliant with the sustainability accounting standards. So the brief, what are the standards? It is coming and it's expected to be finalized before the end of the year. In the first, in the beginning, it's going to be voluntary unless we work together, all together, and do advocate in each country to have it mandatory. So I'll go back here to the rule what the accountants can play in this. To look at the issue, it's a global challenge, and we as an accountant working across all the sectors, whether public or private, in different areas, whether directly related to the environment or not directly related. We are all across the sectors, and with our existence and knowledge and competency, we can help the entities to do that disclosures and transfer this voluntary approach to mandatory approach of disclosures to protect our humanity and to protect the globe. We as an accountant, we have to take part in this global challenge, in facing this global challenge. We can take the role into two sections. As a PAO or as a public accounting organization, they can educate their members on issues related to the standards. They can educate, they can also advocate for adopting the standards with the regulators and decision makers and policy makers. They can do more awareness to the different stakeholders as well. The public, the professional accounting organization can also communicate with the universities to introduce that issue at the educational level and promote the adoption of the standards and at the same time promoting moving it from mandatory to from voluntary to mandatory. As an individuals, whether we are accountants or auditors, we have to build our competences to engage with the management in the preparation of those disclosures and to convince the management in the importance of complying with those standards to achieve the overall objective. And as an auditors, we also have to build our competences to provide that type of assurance related whether the entities are compliant with the sustainability standards or not. I'm not going to take much of your time, and I will be ready to have some more questions. That is in brief And I'm sorry if I repeated some of the ideas were discussed during the session.
Thank you, Mr. Jamal. Thank you for giving us an elaborate view of IFRS S1 and 2, especially the two which relates to the climate trade disclosures. And also, we appreciate your views on role of accountants. This we need to educate ourselves and equip our accountants, especially also the sending the message back to the higher institutions for increasing ESG awareness. We have limited time, hardly we have few more minutes, but the questions are too many. I'll just find last 3-4 questions, and I would like any of our panelists to answer that. Yes, we many times we think from our own perspective. We are accountants and we are thinking from an own perspective. One of the interesting question is that what benefit would business entities draw if they really adopt these initiatives or start complying to ESG initiatives? So would business community draw any benefits from this ESG initiative? Though the question maybe seems relevant to Dr. Nadeem, we see right, but sir, if you would like to answer, else any can answer that question.
I quite frankly think that businesses will not go for it. Businesses in Pakistan will not. We don't have good corporate governance. I don't see how the businesses go for this at all because of the cost involved. Because the government business, that's my point. Nobody's going to take the cost.
So definitely, we regard your view that hard for businesses to really take this initiative, but we can have multiple opinions.
Yeah, you said what benefit the business could get if the ESG is implemented. In almost all countries, the investors have preferred to invest in companies which are ESG compliant. And there are so many funds which are coming up with a title ESG fund, where the investors invest and the fund is given to those corporates who are ESG compliant. Secondly, the banks have started green finance. The laws of countries have started allowing raising of green bonds, where the banks finance the ESG initiatives at a cheaper rate of interest. That is the advantage that the business may get. And going forward, preparing for the future for corporates in countries where it is becoming mandatory to comply with the reporting requirement, time will come when the government will insist on companies committing to reducing carbon emission to a certain extent by a specified deadline. So if you start complying from now, then the business has benefit. Otherwise, going forward, perhaps in future there could be even disadvantage.
I would also like to add to it. Actually, it will not be a matter of choice in few years' time, I think. It will be a kind of an imposed mandatory thing which everyone has to adopt for its survival. Because 90% of the businesses are small businesses. They are all part of the supply chain of the bigger sector, the sector which it is mostly in the exports. When there are no opportunities, no development taking place, they will not be part of it. So it will be a matter of their survival. So it will not be a choice for them to adopt or not adopt. They have to adopt because this will be the future of businesses.
And maybe I can add one more thing. There is a recently published research study from IBM. They have done this study in USA, and they were asking them to the customers about companies who are socially responsible. And 52% of consumers, they said that we would like to pay premium price if companies really comply all these ESG things, like they're socially responsible, they are taking care of employees' working conditions, safety conditions, diversity and inclusion. So definitely there is an advantage, but maybe we cannot foresee it right now.
I think, sir, the diversity of opinion is really what we are looking for here. And I recall one of our famous industries in Sialkot, sports exporters. They had to actually face the music because of they could not handle child labor, the gender-related issues. So yes, rightly mentioned by ma'am that it would be a matter of survival rather than compliance. And also suggestion that green bonds, and yes, it's not only about the green bonds now, it's about the climate bonds, it's about the gender bonds, it's about the social bonds. Now the West is talking about all these financial instruments. And we need to make ourselves aware of all these developments. And one more question, maybe the second last one. An interesting question that is Pakistan, maybe it's not about this directly, but is Pakistan facing an economic failure, social failure, or political failure? So I don't know. I find myself very small to comment on that. But or if it is facing all failures, but or how can you prioritize that, sir?
All three failures. All three failures, political, social, economic. And we must learn from it. We have fallen apart in every way. And quite frankly, that's the whole point which I will complete.
That recalls my son who just turned 18 last month. He asked me, Baba, what is default? And if default happens, what happens? So I tried to make him understand, and he said me, then let's go abroad. That might not be the solution. Yes, sir summarized very well up that we are facing all three failures. But the question then extends that which failure should be handled first? I don't know, we can prioritize it or not, sir.
The most important failure that has to be handled first is the political failure. Somehow we have to get the politicians to sit down and develop an environment of a conversation. But that's what the social failure is. Even as a society, we don't have a conversation. And that is a failure of the education system too. The education system may be teaching old, yesterday's stuff, not even yesterday, last century stuff. So we really have to have a deep reform, and somewhere in society, leadership has been born. Where is that leadership? I don't know. Because leadership that is born just wants to rule, just does not want change. And this is a big problem that we are facing, and I think no quick solutions are there.
Sir, thank you very much. I hope the replies from our eminent panelists make some effect on the right circles. The House is apprised of the responses, and when all of us go from here, I think we are going to spread the word. And but yes, good discussion taken place, and I've been told that we need to leave some time for the photographs and distribution of shields. So I would hand the discussion over to our Master of Ceremony. Ma'am, please.
Thank you so much, Dr. Thank you so much, Dr. Khalid, for handing it over to me. I would now like to invite our Executive Director, ICMA, Amir Ijaz Khan, for the vote of thanks. So please come at the podium. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. This is always a bit difficult to come between the people and the dinner. But it is indeed my honor to conclude today's valuable sessions, as we have good panel of luminaries with us. Just right now, we have 3 doctors over here among the professional accountants. So give them a big round of applause for their presence. And I am thankful to the participants who joined on cloud. Thank you very much. Thanks for your nice participation. Truly your participation which made this the global fraternity. We are indeed global, a thriving global fraternity, and emerging as well. We are not as distinguished from anyone. We are the professionals who are in demand in every time. People usually say that this is the era of artificial intelligence, chat GPT, maybe some other things will run through our profession. But I assure you, we are not in danger. Yes, few of us may be in danger who would not go with the contemporary way. So we need to get our edges sharpened all the time. So this is the big activity. This is the biggest activity rather for the learning perspective. Let me share, Dr. Khalid, the poll which we throw to the audience. That is fantastic. Why is that? Because the result is phenomenal. It phenomenally shows our lack of understanding with respect to ESG. Accountant, the professional accountants, my fraternity colleagues. So, no harm, because rather new concepts come to our way. As we are open to the new ideas, new challenges, we are here to abreast with all these new changes and give the solutions to our all organizations, whatever we are serving. Would it be being the entrepreneur, being the practicing members, or someone serving to the corporates. So with this, I hope that the whole feed of that knowledge grasped today would certainly lead your way towards that knowledge journey with respect to ESG. And this is not the end. Rather, it's the tip of that iceberg. Down the line, we have good number of items for you guys. This is our first session today, and we will be proceeding towards our second and third interactive panel discussions to be held tomorrow, same place, same venue, when we will be starting our day a bit early. Rather that it's Sunday, but we like to we like to have your presence over here sharp by 10 so that we can conclude in a timely fashion. And after all this certificate distribution, a souvenir distribution ceremony, we were just waiting for the madam to come back and join us, and she's very much here. Thank you, ma'am. Thanks for your presence, and hats off to you. You are as cheerful as you were last day when we received you at Pakistan. Thank you, ma'am. Despite of long journey, thank you. So just to make it more, participative, if there would be any question, because it shows that people are eager to learn on this topic. If any one of you have any question to our eminent panel of the day, yeah, sir, please.
Assalamu alaikum. This is Bhurban Khalid, member institute of Cost and Management Accounting of Pakistan. I have a question: why policies and standards remain in conflict in developing countries like South Asia?
Can you repeat?
Why policies and standards like accounting, auditing remain in conflict in developing countries like South Asian countries?
Yeah, it is high time, and you have been on the other side of the table. Being professor, it is tough too,
No, it's not tough. I mean, let me be very open on this. The problem with the countries like us is that we hardly localize knowledge. One of our speakers mentioned colonialism. The lack of ability to localize knowledge, localize solutions for the problems, that leads to framing the policies which can't really gel into local solutions. And if you see these things happening, it's not only about business entities, it's economic, social, political, on all fronts. So unless these policies are made in local context, they are made with local acumen, they are made by people who understand ground reality. The question which you mentioned, this scenario will keep on happening in my humble opinion.
I can add to that. There is one of the reasons that we don't develop local standards or local policies is because, quite frankly, our education system is extremely weak. And the overbearing government interferes in everything. So self-regulation by accountant profession or other professions which run on a self-regulated basis, it doesn't happen. So regulation standards are set by the government, and the government is whimsical. Many of us go and get standards changed. Many of us go and get policy changed. So it happens that there's no watchdog. Normally, academia is a watchdog watching, things change and commenting on the change. In developing countries, it doesn't. There's no holistic, complex system. Academia is watching policy, policy is watching, professions that develop policy, professions are watching. So there's a complex interaction that takes place. We don't have that. We've got a very threadbare policy where the government rules, and the government is whimsical and changes its mind regularly.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, sure, please add.
I will take your question as like how we are not adaptable to such policies, probably not in conflict rather than not adaptability. But I will tell you the standard setting process which is in place at IFAC, at ISB, IFA, everywhere. They take into account all Asian countries, everyone around the world, all member bodies are part of it. They take cognizance of each country dynamics, its logistics, everything into account while developing the standards. And at sometimes, like for example, if you see the quality management standards recently issued, they are applicable, but we are like at our ICAP, we have given some leverage and time to our stakeholders for its adoption. So that is the leverage which we are taking in adoption. However, it is applicable, but it is taking time. So that actually gave us leverage to understand the standards, to communicate to our members, sorry, and how we could quickly adopt to them as time moves on. So it's not that we are in any way conflict with it, but of course there are different dynamics, there are different jurisdictions, and every jurisdiction is considered while the standard setting process is taking place.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Any other question, sir?
This is Najib Abbas Zedi. I'm from ICM in Lahore. As we all know, nothing can be done without the allocation of resources. So my question is, should the ESG is a bigger part of the audit process
textile sector. In Pakistan, it's made mandatory to comply to those qualitative disclosures. I mean, fourth schedule is there, which is all about quantitative disclosures. We have IFRS, which is, if some company want to voluntarily disclose, they can, they do, and actually in textile sector, they actually represent because the customers are demanding. Just like a chief sustainability officer is appointed, the panelist was talking about, why not we can do in Pakistan? So my question is, how this journey would move to voluntary compliances to mandatory compliances, and how much time it takes, because it's long time. From years, we are listening that we are moving from voluntary compliances to mandatory compliances. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, please. Ma'am, please respond.
As I said earlier, that the businesses, 90% of businesses are small businesses, and mandatory compliances, if in case we are going to implement it, those will be on the large businesses. The small businesses will be part of the supply chain. They will automatically be affected, and they have to do it. As I said earlier, that this is a matter of survival. This will not be a matter of choice in a year's time, in some few years' time, that everyone has to do it. So this is, even if we made it mandatory, we won't be able to make it mandatory for the small sector, because there are different dynamics, there are different challenges which we can face to handle the small sector. So the majority small sector will be influenced in due course of time when it becomes mandatory for the larger sector, which progress is being taken very, very aggressively at all levels. At the regulatory level, as I said, that there's a working group also actively working on the strategies, and they are closely watching what developments are taking place internationally. So we are keeping our members or the stakeholders, all the public in the public interest, what is happening around in the sustainability development.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks for this. Let me say something here. I think the one thing that we should resist is mandatory regulations. We have already, as I mentioned, I've got a book out there which says we've got too many regulations in this country. If you want to kill the economy, ask for more mandatory regulations. Environment is important, but it's not as important as for our kids to have jobs. We have estimated in the BID 35% of your graduates are unemployed. It takes kids 10 years to find a secure job. Kids are suffering badly. Secondly, 64% of your kids want to go overseas. They don't even want to live in this country. So we have to be a little careful about what we want to impose on businesses. In fact, I would argue let businesses grow for a while. Europe and the US had a huge mess. They cleaned up the mess over time. If we try and choke up businesses too early, I think we will have social chaos in this country, which we're heading towards anyways. So from you accountants and business-friendly people, think of less regulations, think of how we can avoid regulations. For example, even in our current balance sheets, do we have enough information there? And I look at the balance sheets of companies and we can find very little information. So perhaps you people should address that. In our current reporting, why do we have this so-called undocumented economy? Why do our balance sheets not report what they are supposed to report? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I know that we got succeeded in this phenomena that we urge the need to learn more with regards to ESG. Thank you very much. As we are running short of time now, we will rush towards that memento presentation ceremony. I request President ICMA, Vice President ICMA, Honorary Secretary, Honorary Treasurer, and Mr. Zal Mustafa as an organizing committee of the event to come forward. And our distinguished guest of tonight, Ma'am Asma Rakhmogi. Please join us on stage. President Safa, I request, please sir, join us. Mr. Tola, if you are not that busy in mobile, do join us. A lot of things are on your shoulders. We can understand. Thanks for giving us the time. So starting from the first speaker. So I request to present first memento to Mr. Ishfaq Tolawala. Yeah, Mr. Watawala is here just to borrow that thing. Yeah, please, panelists. Please come forward. Yeah, thank you. Next to him was Dr. Jamusaria. President Safa, he came all the way from India to participate and join us. Thank you very much, sir. And not to delay much, next. Next would be Dr. Nadeemul Hasan. Nadeemul Hasan, please. Next would be Ma'am Hina Osmani. I cannot hear your claps. If you want clap, then how can we offer you the dinner? We are making our decision a bit difficult. And now they are getting overdosed. Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Next in the panel was Dr. Arshad Arad. And last but not the least, the kind moderator of our panel, Dr. Khaled Mumtaz, FCMA. Now I request President ICMA, Mr. Shahzad Ahmed Malik, to present the souvenir to Ma'am Asma. This will be coming from there. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. Now I request only executive committee members to stay here and rest of the persons can get their seats there. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now it's a, yeah, and President IFAC as well. We there. And now there is a memento distribution ceremony from ICI, Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. I request Mr. C.S. Nanda, please join us. Yeah.
I will say a few words first.
Okay, okay. Yeah.
Good evening, Pakistan. Good evening, all the participants who are here. The part of this International Convention of Accountants, uniting the global accounting fraternity. It's my privilege to be here. I represent the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. And we are indebted today, and we are very grateful to the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Pakistan and ICMA Pakistan for facilitating our visit to Pakistan. On behalf of ICI, the President ICI, Vice President ICI, and the entire Council of ICI express our deep gratitude. And I request our honorable council members who are present here, CA Charanjot Singh Nanda ji, CA Dr. Raj Chawla ji, and already the immediate past president of ICI and the President SAFA, CA Nihar Jammu Sariyat is also there to express our gratitude from India to Pakistan. And I think huge round of applause for this international conference. And the sound to go to Delhi, like that way you have to clap. There should be energy, lot of energy, so that we remember this day forever, for life. Thank you very much. First, I request Mudit to give the memento to Shri Shehzad Ahmad Malik ji, President ICMAP. तालियां रुक गई हैं आप लोगों की, अगर हिंदी आप समझते हैं तो तालियां नहीं रुकनी चाहिए. Mr. Ayolaji, immediate past President ICAP and Minister of State of Chairman Reforms and Resource Mobilization. प्लीज तालियां धीरे हो गई हैं आपकी, अभी अच्छा डिनर कराया जाएगा आपको, प्लीज कंटिन्यू विद क्लैपिंग. और अब आमिर इजाज खान जी जो एग्जीक्यूटिव डायरेक्टर हैं, उनको हम फ्रॉम इंडिया सम्मानित करना चाहेंगे. Again, thank you from India to all of you.
Thank you, Mr. Gujrat. Thanks, Dr. Sir. These were the people behind all the success of this event. So a round of applause for them. The energetic team, day, night, they worked hard under the able leadership of the President, Mr. Malik. So we'll start rest of the proceedings from there. Now it's time for our international colleagues, the international delegates. So we request them to one by one come forward to receive their mementos from Ma'am Asma. So first I would request Mr. Lakshman Vatawala, Professor. President CMA Sri Lanka. We're fortunate enough to have you here, sir. Mr. N.I.K. Bandara, Advisor SAFA. Mr. Ishana Kroko, Vice President SAFA. Next to him would be CSCS Nanda, Council Member ICI. Sir, we'd like you to address him.
Mics are on. Touch, one touch. One touch.
A very good evening. I have a separate session tomorrow afternoon where I will be addressing you. पर आज जो माहौल बन गया, दिल न माना, मैंने कहा कुछ आपके साथ गुफ्तगू हो ही जाए। साहबान, मैं नीचे बैठकर पैनल को सुन रहा था और कहीं कहीं पर इस बेबसी का जिक्र होता था कि हमें बहुत ज्यादा इम्प्रूव करना है। मेरी जिंदगी का एक तवज्जो रहा है, डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज अपने इनिशियल स्टेज में है, शुरुआती दौर में है। इस समय टीथिक प्रॉब्लम्स रहेंगी। कहते हैं ना, गिरते हैं मैदान जंग में, शह सवार ही वो तिफल क्या गिरेंगे जो घुटनों के बल चले। हम घुटनों पे बल चलकर भी तिफल बन जाएंगे, लेकिन हमारा प्रोफेशन कभी नहीं आ रहा। This is a great profession and take you back from where this profession started. और आप देखिए कितने अजीमो करीब तरीके से प्रोफेशन अपनी बुलंदे पर पहुंचा है। आज तमाम दुनिया हमसे मुखातिब है। मैं आपको कहना चाह रहा हूं, नॉट ट्राइंग टू प्रेज आवरसेल्व्स, बट डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज के प्रोफेशनल्स की पूरी दुनिया को दरकार है। कहते हैं ना, देते ना थे जो जवाब, उनके सलाम आने लगे। देते ना थे जो जवाब, उनके सलाम आने लगे। वक्त बदला तो मेरे नींद पे आम आने लगे। आप बेफिक्र रहिए, अपनी टेक्निकल इम्पेटस को बढ़ाते रहें। बहुत अच्छा समय आने वाला, दौर बहुत खुशनुमा आने वाला है। ये तो भी हमारी शुरुआत के दिन, और शुरुआत में अगर आप में से कोई खेती से वाकिफ में वाबस्ता है तो आप जानते हैं कि खेती जब करते हैं तो बहुत मेहनत लगती है, लेकिन जब फल आता है तो बड़ा अच्छा लगता है। हमारे फलदार वृक्ष अभी आने हैं, नथिंग टू वरी एट दैट। आई विश ऑल ऑफ यू अ ग्रेट सक्सेस इन टाइम्स टू कम। आई विश बोथ द इंस्टीट्यूट्स, Institute of Chartered Accountants of Pakistan and the Cost and Management Accountants Institute of Pakistan, who have done wonderfully well. And I want to thank Mr. Tola, who was instrumental in calling us. In fact, 2 दिन पहले हमारा आना मुश्किल था, लेकिन तभी तोला साहब तस्वीर में उन्होंने कहा, साहब आपको आना ही पड़ेगा, और उन्होंने इंश्योर किया कि हम बड़ी सीमलेस वे में आपके बीच में हैं। ज्यादा नहीं बोलूंगा, आप सबका शुक्रिया अदा करूंगा कि आपने हमें बुलाया। इनफैक्ट मेरे पूर्वज, मेरे पुरखे, हम बिलोंग टू पाकिस्तान, वी बिलोंग टू रावलपिंडी, एक सुरखो शहर है जिससे हम बिलोंग करते हैं। और यकीन जाने, मेरे सबसे बेहतरीन दोस्त पाकिस्तान के, इससे ज्यादा कुछ नहीं कहूंगा। शुक्रिया, थैंक यू।
Thank you. Please receive your share. So, Mr. Nanda, just stay here. I am requesting Mrs. Sundar Nanda to come forward and receive your memento as well. As you accompany your able spouse on this tour, please come forward. Living a life with an accountant, you know, it's a lot of passion job, you know, ma'am. So receive your well-deserved memento. Yeah, good, good. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Nanda. Now, the next name is Mr. Raj Chawla. Sir, would like to hear some.
Good evening, everyone.